Polling has finally concluded for the 12th parliamentary elections here in Bangladesh, standing right outside the Jatiyo সংসদ, the parliament building in Bangladesh, which has 300 seats. And all through the day on Sunday, that is January the 7th, today, 11 crore electorate voters voted for more than 1,500 candidates. They sealed the fate for 1,500 candidates, some of whom will be occupying the 300 seats behind me at this very parliament of Bangladesh. Now, these elections are very, very crucial, and a lot of international observers are keenly following these elections because it will set the tone in which direction Bangladesh politics moves in the days to come. Of course, Bangladesh kicks off the election season of 2024 in South Asia because it is the first country that goes into polls, followed by Pakistan next, and finally the big elections in India. Now, India too is very closely monitoring these elections because Bangladesh happens to be a very, very crucial ally and a friendly neighborhood state in the eastern region. These elections, of course, had various dynamics, and they are very, very crucial because firstly, Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina is once again on the cards, and she is seeking a fourth consecutive term as Prime Minister. However, these elections have become very controversial at the same time because the ruling Awami League, along with its alliance partners, did contest the elections. However, the principal opposition here in Bangladesh, the Bangladesh Nationalist Party, along with their alliance partners, have boycotted this entire election process. The opposition, of course, had initially demanded that this election process should take place under a caretaker government and that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina should step down, she should resign, a demand that was thoroughly rejected by the Bangladesh Sheikh Hasina regime. The Election Commission of Bangladesh, of course, conducted these elections. The big challenge, of course, was to conduct a free, fair and safe election to ensure voter safety, because in the run-up to the elections, there were massive protests that took place in Dhaka, across Bangladesh, by the opposition. And also, there were strikes, there were, protests that were lined up. Just 48 hours before these elections were to take place, a train was set on fire at the Dhaka station in which 4 people died. And there were a dozen polling stations that were also set on fire. So there was apprehension that the law and order situation may not remain in control, and there might be, the election process might be tarnished with violence. However, what we did see, of course, all through the day is that more or less, by and large, this election process has remained violence-free. There have been sporadic incidences of violence that have been reported from places like Chittagong. However, overall, the poll process has remained violence-free. There hasn't been any big incident that have been reported except for a few sporadic ones. The entire country has been completely shrouded, covered in very high security, with the army and the border guards Bangladesh also being deployed. Here in Dhaka, of course, more than 30,000 police personnel of the Dhaka Metropolitan Police was on duty to thwart any untoward incident. So we haven't seen any big incident. In fact, the biggest thing was that despite the hartal or the strike call given by the principal opposition BNP, a lot of people came out, a big chunk of people came out, electorate, and they did cast their franchise. They did vote in these elections. The main concern for the Election Commission, of course, is to see a high voter turnout. However, what we did see in the early moments of polling was that the voter turnout wasn't that high. We are yet to get the final turnout figures from the Election Commission, which will come out later in the day. But as far as the poll process is concerned, once the election process is over, once voting is concluded in Bangladesh, immediately the counting process begins. So that process has now begun. Counting of votes will continue all through the night today. It will go very late in the night across all the 42,000 polling stations that are being used for this entire poll process. And finally, the final results probably will come out or be announced on Monday. For most poll observers and experts, the election result may be a foregone conclusion, given that the main opposition party has boycotted this election. So most think that it's going to be Sheikh Hasina once again. She is in line for a fourth term as Prime Minister and a total of 5 terms as Prime Minister in her entire career. She did speak out to the media today after her casting her vote, and she said that the biggest achievement of her government was that they fought for democracy and to provide the people of Bangladesh the right to vote. She said this is one of the main achievements of her government, and that is something that she has been fighting all her life for. However, there are a lot of international agencies. There are several foreign governments like the US government who have questioned whether or not this poll process will be free and fair, and therefore hundreds of poll observers from various international agencies and other countries are in Dhaka to witness this entire election process and to see that there is nothing untoward as far as this election process is concerned. There is no coaxing, coercing, and the election process is conducted in a clean and fair manner. We will have to hear from the Election Commission, but this election, of course, as I've been saying, is very closely being monitored by India, because Bangladesh is a very, very crucial country in South Asia. It's a key ally of India, a friendly state in the east, which shares a long eastern border with several Indian states, and that always has been a long-standing issue between the two governments, illegal infiltration. In that sense, there are several issues that the Indian government would be closely monitoring. One, of course, is the stability of any government that comes to power in Bangladesh. Secondly, of course, the fear of rising Islamic fundamentalism in Bangladesh, which may have a direct bearing on the relation between India and Bangladesh. So these are issues that the Modi government in New Delhi would be very closely monitoring. They have, of course, stood steadfast in support of Sheikh Hasina's prime ministership and the government in Bangladesh. Earlier in the day, I spoke to the Home Minister of Bangladesh, Asaduzzaman Khan, and he said that he was hoping whenever the new government comes, as it takes over, it will get full support of the Indian administration, of the Indian government, because the Bangladesh administration feels that India is a steadfast, has always been a steadfast, friendly country in the neighborhood, and it's important for geopolitical reasons. So clearly, these elections are very, very crucial in the context of Bangladesh-India relations, and also the kind of politics that one could witness in the days to come in Bangladesh. A lot of people might say, there are the critics of Sheikh Hasina would say that she has authoritarian tendencies, that the government crackdown on dissent and opposition has been quite brutal and ruthless. However, there are others who cite tremendous economic growth in the past 1 decade, in which Bangladesh has literally emerged as an economic powerhouse in South Asia, as an economic success story. And though COVID has had a very, very bad impact on the economy of Bangladesh, the task clearly would be cut out for the new government which comes into power and takes precedence here at the Jatiya সংসদ behind me. They will have a clear task cut out. One is to bring the economy back on track after the slowdown due to COVID, and also to see that there is general social progress along with the economy, and also checks and balances on the possible rise of Islamic fundamentalism in Bangladesh, the fear of which always, stays there in some corner or the other. So these are the main issues that have come up during these Bangladesh elections. Voting, by and large, peaceful all through today. Now over to the counting of votes and a final declaration of results by the Election Commission of Bangladesh. This is Indrajit reporting from Dhaka, Bangladesh for India Today.